Welcome to the Las Vegasville podcast, brought to you by Jump Studios, where we cover topics related to everything happening around Sin City, including the social media scene, food, and a whole lot more, with some of the best, most popular accounts around the city, and talk about their success in Vegas and beyond. I'm your host, Philip Zhang, aka Las Vegas Phil. Check me out on IG or TikTok, and feel free to text or leave me a voicemail at 702-551-4445. On with the show. Welcome to this week's show. Jessica Wu is famously known as the Bento Box Queen, exploding in 2020 on TikTok during the pandemic, making her now famous DIY bento-style lunches that were probably the envy of every kid in school when her kids broke them out in the cafeteria. On top of the creativity in every meal is my favorite part, where she writes a beautiful note in the box that imparts inspiration, love, and advice, which is awesome, but in a really unique and cool way, ends up kind of being a message to everybody. While cooking brought her initial fame, she is a multi-dimensional personality. Her channels reflect that with inspiring and creative ideas, family fun, beauty, and lifestyle content. Sometimes I try and shoot shots, hoping some amazing people say yes to being on this podcast, and this is definitely one of those times. This is really awesome. With over 5.7 million on TikTok, 689K on YouTube, 334K on IG, 176K on Facebook, 20K on Pinterest. Am I missing anything?
I think that's good, yeah.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
She's also on Snapchat. Big welcome to Jessica Wu, a.k.a. Sully Jessica. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
How have you? A lot of compliments.
Well, it's all true. How's the week been so far for you?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Kind of crazy, though, because my dog actually got hit by a car.
I saw that in the stories.
Yeah, so good and bad, because it's still, like, not real, I guess,
yeah.
You know, because it was, like, pretty traumatic, but she's doing good, so, you know, very lucky and fortunate, even though it was a bad situation. She's doing good, so.
Chihuahua, right?
Yeah, she's a Chihuahua wiener dog, a Chiweenie.
Aww. Sorry, I don't know, my glasses are steamy. You also hung out with Drex Lee recently. Do you guys go back a ways, or was this kind of a collab that kind of happened?
We actually met at Asian Hustle Network, maybe.
Oh yeah, he was a speaker last year.
He was a speaker last year. I felt like I can't remember exactly how we started talking, but we just started talking because of content, and then I met up with him, and then he was like, "Yeah, let's film." And I was like, "Sure." And then we filmed before. So we filmed last year around the same time, and we did his car, you know, his typical car girl. But I put in my bentos in there and some dumplings in there last time. And then this time we did basically the same thing.
Right.
My friend has an awesome Skyline, so we used that car. And then his friend brought another one, so we used that. And then I had pizza. But yeah, it's cool, fun, you know, different. So
for sure. And you talk about someone like yourself who just took something that their passion, their inspiration, and just kind of went with it in such a crazy way. You watch him work, and he's just kind of running around with the...
Yeah. It's like a full workout.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. Sure. Yeah, it's cool. And it's cool because I don't do that, you know.
And then what blows my mind is the other person behind the scenes shooting him, shooting you.
Yeah, and that's usually just like random. Like David
really?
did our, the last one we just worked on yesterday. Yeah, so David kind of stepped in, and then for another one, his friend was just there. So it's just whoever that's there, you know?
Oh, that's mind-blowing. I had no idea.
Yeah, and then I think he does set up, you know, his tripod and everything if he doesn't have anybody. But, yeah, every time with us, it's, like, kind of impromptu, so.
I always thought it was just some regular person that he had with him, but that's very cool.
Yeah.
February 26, 2020 is when you posted your first bento box, which currently has 24.1 million views, 73K followers in one day. March 3rd, another one went off for 42 million. March 11th, you had 500K, and then you hit 1 million followers in 16 days, and the train keeps going over 3 years later. Looking back to that insane beginning during quarantine, what was that like for you and the family?
It was cool, obviously, you know, like, yeah. I was like, wow, it's, like, happening, and I guess I should just make more videos. So that's what I did, you know, I just kind of pumped out videos. Whatever, you know, we wanted to. We did dancing videos with my daughters, trendy stuff, the lunch stuff, of course. And then my channel just kind of evolves to, like, what people are asking, you know, if they're like, oh, how'd you do your hair? What are you wearing? Where are you going? What are you doing? You know, so that kind of helps me navigate the different areas that I do want to do.
Right.
just so I have, more opportunities and so I can show my other skill sets, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So once that started, when did corporate America start blowing up your inbox?
It was pretty much right away. Once my viral video went viral, I think one of the first ones was Smithfield, which was like bacon and stuff like that. So right off the bat, like that, they're pretty big, and I worked with a lot of like home delivery services. So a lot of like Instacart, because everyone was home, and that was all we had. So a lot of those came in, but it was actually harder on TikTok for brands to reach out for that yet, because it was so new.
Right, DMs are weird.
Yeah, and people didn't know the power of TikTok yet. So it was that. And then once I grew my Instagram definitely helped boost more brands reaching out to me.
Yeah, and I think it's a really great lesson for any social media influencer, diversifying, spreading yourself out so you have multiple channels to make yourself more appealing. And then, so they start reaching out and they just email you. How did you decide on numbers?
That was kind of hard because, I mean,
right?
it's new. There was no roadmap for influencers. And, I guess back then, influencers didn't really talk about their pay. No one really talked about what they did. There wasn't that kind of social media. Because right now, I feel like the difference is there's social media who, the original social media. And then there's people who teach things and how to do social media and how to navigate. So, there's a lot more of that now. But back then, that was the hardest part because I'm like, I don't know, I don't know.
There's no one else you could discuss it with because no one
knew. Yeah, no one knew. And but lucky for me, an agency reached out right away.
Oh, okay.
So I went viral February. I signed with them in May.
Wow.
They reached out in April, and I kind of sat on it for a month. And so then, right then, they started, giving me all these rates, and I was like, oh my God, I guess that's where we need to be, and I was like, wow. So that's how, I learned how much I was worth basically and how much work, they were willing to pay for in basically a one-person production.
A lot of micro-influencers in the circles I run with are still very much in the Wild Wild West as far as for pricing themselves. The numbers aren't very consistent, and some have way more than others when we're shooting the same thing.
Right.
Obviously, you're in a completely different universe, but is there any advice that you could give on understanding value and understanding worth?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to consider everything that you do for a company or a brand or whoever you're working with and kind of figure out a way that is worth your time. You're editing. Everyone's doing everything on their own. They're filming, editing, voiceovering, posting, all that consideration. And then think about what they would pay someone that is going to hire someone individually, And I actually used to host Clubhouse sessions where we would talk about these things. And I think that really helped gauge kind of what people were putting out there, who to work with, who not to work with, stuff like that. So I think being in a community obviously helps because you want to help out each other, even though, they might be a competitor to you. But I feel like community is better than competition and, there is work for everyone, and I think that just kind of helps gauge where you are and kind of set you guys up as a whole in a better place than if someone's coming in low, someone's coming in too high, everyone will know and kind of have a fair playing field, I think.
That's great advice. Yeah, I mean, I do discuss it with some of the foodies around town, and we just kind of trickle it down. If she has 1 million followers, then we kind of half it or whatever, based on that.
I mean, it's hard,
Right.
because it is very, it depends on every person and every company, but I think we're doing okay and we're figuring it out as we go, and that's all we can do.
Yeah. Are you still with the same agency now? Oh,
I am.
Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been with them for 3 years now.
Okay. And then what is the behind the scenes team for you as far as beyond the agency? Do you have a manager as well, or anyone working on content with you?
So I have an assistant now. So
Okay.
she kind of helps me day to day with pretty much anything that I need. If I can't take my girls to school, pick them up, they're there. If I'm doing an event or if I'm here, doing this podcast, my assistant's there with them because they're actually off school today because they have
Okay.
staff development day. But
Thank you, assistant.
yeah, she's awesome. She, kind of does my filing for taxes,
Wow.
all in between. So whatever she can help with, she helps me out with that. And then I also have someone that helps me post for my Pinterest and YouTube shorts. She lives in Holland, actually.
Oh.
And I met her through content creation. She's a content creator as well. And I saw that she was helping out other people, and she was content creating on content creators and kind of helping them market in other ways that I couldn't. Like, she's really good with numbers and stuff like that. So she's been helpful growing my Pinterest for me, which obviously I just kind of did not put any time into that because I can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, she helps me, and she just kind of checks in with me randomly and just repurposes my videos.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the importance of an agency. You would say anyone with the numbers, the 5 million plus level, should have an agency at this point. If you're not, like, what are you doing? Or
I think any level agencies could help, in different ways. Like, number one thing was obviously they set my rate, and with the industry standards. So they kind of know, obviously, what you should be getting paid for. They help with a lot of the legal stuff. So, like, contracts, they look over it first, and then obviously you have to give the okay. But it helps to have that legal team that comes with an agency. So, you can just be like, hey, is this good? Is this, and they can kind of see stuff that I don't even see or
Right.
know because, again, it's something very new to me. And they just have different connections. If I want to, I don't know, go to an event, and I'll just kind of throw it out there, and they'll be like, I'll see what I can do, put you in, and stuff like that. So I think in a way, obviously you don't need those things, but it does
Sounds
help. Yeah, it does help in, where you're at in your life and what you want to do with your career.
I mean, you have a ton of interviews that you do, a lot of great media outlets. Does the agency field all the PR requests and everything too, or do you still handle that yourself?
A lot of the PR stuff is just through me.
Okay.
And I've gotten lucky with PR because just going viral, like that's
Yeah.
the best part of virality is the publicity that I've gotten because, I've been live on Good Morning America, Access Hollywood, like all those big time news outlets. And I went to school for journalism. So for me, that's like really cool. And yeah, so I mean, they do help, and like I'll be like, oh, can you help me, answer these questions or like anything like that. They're assisting, but with the PR, it's kind of, I think you just kind of do that on your own, or you can hire a different PR team, of course.
Right. PR and social media seems to be a bit of a hot topic in Vegas these days. Obviously, with your degree, you have a unique view on each. There's no denying to me that celebrities and corporate America, huge brands, need that. But what are your thoughts on more of a local level?
Local level, I think it just depends on the PR agency or the ad agency, whatever they can offer. I know a lot of new agencies like, JMP Force, like you guys do everything. You do the social media side, but you also can help with the regular PR side. So, I think it depends on the company and what they offer. If they're up to the times, they have, content creators working as social media managers and account executives. Like, obviously they know because they're doing it firsthand. But, there's people who just do newspapers, and they're, it's not, you can't get as big press as, virality. So, I mean, it's a, good and bad on, not bad, but, I think,
Supplements,
yeah.
probably.
I don't think either way is bad.
Okay.
I don't think either way is bad. Obviously, I'm more prone to social media because that's how I grew myself.
Right, we all are.
But I wouldn't have grown as much if I didn't have the traditional media outlets helping me with those press. It kind of validates you too, It validates you. it gets you that check mark before for having press. But yeah, it's good to have both if you can. Obviously, like, it's hard for people to be like, oh, well, I can't just get written up in anything. But
My friend Lindsay Stewart, a.k.a. the Las Vegas Foodie, who listens to every episode. She was super excited that you're on. I'm thankful for her on multiple levels. She wanted to ask a couple questions. Are there any partnerships that you're wanting to explore that you haven't yet?
like, I guess...
You got to keep it tight-lipped, I understand.
I guess more TV. I've done a little bit of TV, but I
Yeah.
would love to do more TV. I was just a guest judge on Top Chef Family.
With Megan Trainor.
And and she's awesome. And hi, Las Vegas Foodie. I love you. So, and I did that and I was like, I love it. I love it here. I want to do this. This is so fun. So, because before just doing social media, I was like, I don't know if I want to do TV. I don't like scripts. I don't like big production-y kind of fakey, like I'm very real. This is my real life. This is what I do daily kind of thing. So for me, that kind of wasn't in my, in my future, I guess. But once I was there, I was like, I could do this forever. This is so fun. So hopefully that.
Yeah, judging something like that would be cool.
Yeah.
So what was it like behind the scenes of Top Chef? Like, I mean, you see it on TV. They chop it up that, you're making all these. You got to do it in 10 minutes or whatever. Like, is the time limit true to how they do it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Everything's pretty legit,
Wow.
So they do, so I was just like a segment. So I went in, did my lines, and the people were all there just like filming normal. And then basically I get to go to my trailer. I had a trailer.
So Hollywood.
Yeah, so I go back to my trailer and then they do their cooking and all that while they film. And you can watch it in your trailer. They show everything. And then they bring you back to judge. So you go judge and you taste everything. And it's all real, And it's
Amazing.
pretty good. And there was no there's no faking or any fake drama or anything like that. Seemed pretty real. And they were kids. So, for me, it was awesome. And the hardest part was telling who the bottom people were because I didn't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
That was hard.
TikTok ban, everyone's talking about it. I mean, on a much smaller level, I mean, in our circles, there's overall an indifference to all the hubbub. But, I mean, you're making some serious bank with the amazing partnerships like McDonald's, Lancome, Royal Caribbean, Kroger, so many more. What would that mean to you, and how would you pivot if something like that happened?
It's just life,
Right.
I feel like it's just one of those things. If it happened, it obviously sucks for me. That's a big chunk of my audience.
Yeah.
And I love TikTok as a platform because it is so real. They highlight a lot of normal people with cool skills. And I love art. So I love watching artists grow and stuff like that. So the saddest part for me is just not having a platform as open to all different types of people from everywhere. More than just losing my audience, I just like that platform and how it is and what it's become. They actually invited me to DC to speak with Congress.
Yeah.
But I unfortunately couldn't go because I didn't have anyone to watch my kids for those 3-4 days. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't go away. But if it happens, it is what it is. That's life. And I've had so many ups and downs in my life that it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to figure out on your own after it happens. Lucky for me, I do have an audience, other platforms. So definitely, obviously, diversify. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to get banned. Hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. But it seems like I don't know why the government's on their jock like this. It's just so weird. But
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the payroll.
Yeah.
Meta payroll.
Unbelievable. In a completely different universe, when online poker was banned in 2011, lots of the big-time poker players moved to Canada or Mexico. Would you ever consider living elsewhere part-time to still put out TikTok stuff?
That could be a consideration. I've always wanted to live different places. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I have in mind is just traveling and living different countries for a bit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, definitely not out of the picture.
Right.
You know.
Just cross the Mexican border post and then.
Yeah. David has a Canadian citizenship, so
Oh, really?
we
Oh,
can go there
wow.
if we need
Nice.
to.
What other countries would you love to live in? And what do we think? Like a month in a country or
Like a year to
year.
3 years is
Wow.
kind of what I was thinking, because you can't really get the culture or anything that comes with it.
Yeah.
You're living as a tourist if you're there for a few months,
Yeah.
So Korea, of course, I
Korea.
just love it there.
Yeah.
And for me, I can't say for sure because I've never traveled anywhere else pretty much except for Korea, because I just love it there. But now that I can do my work at anywhere, everywhere, pretty much. So I want to go everywhere. Not sure where I want to live, but definitely want to travel.
When was the last time you were in Korea?
It was before Olive was born, so she's almost 5. Because that was when it was like COVID. I was going through the pregnancy. I wanted to wait till after I had Olive to take her.
Yep.
So it's been a long time. And then
Overdue.
now I'm just waiting on my girls' baby daddies to sign the passport papers.
Hint, hint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just hasn't done it. And the kids expire every 2 years, so
Oh man.
it's just a hassle.
Yeah, that's tough for sure. Let me see. So I remember watching your podcast episode with the residency and Drew and all those guys, and I was so surprised that the bentos are never planned.
Yeah, I mean, I plan some. Like
Okay.
some, I'll be like, okay, I'll make this in my head.
Right.
But literally 95%, I'm going to say, is like, I always describe it like I'm in a food competition show with myself in the morning, because I'm literally like,
Pressure's on.
what can I
Stand
make
there.
right now? Yeah, and I don't give myself time because I love sleeping, and
Right.
I love sleeping late, and I'm not a morning person, so I'm always like, why do I do this to myself? But that's just when my creativity is the best, and I won't hate doing something that I'm like constantly planning to do. So, just keep it fresh and fun, I guess, and more chaotic.
Right. So you record it, and then do you instantly do the voiceover after the kids go to school? How does that normally
I try to make that work. Like the first year, that's kind of how it worked. I did their lunches, and then I got to edit and voiceover right away. But that was also during COVID times. It was a little bit easier. I got to sleep in a little bit more, obviously, because I was making lunch at home now, So now I kind of just record, and I try to fit it in when I can, because I do have meetings. I'm working on a big project, and that big project is my number one priority right now, even more than putting out videos. So it's been kind of just like all over the place, which kind of is sucky because I want to put out more videos, but it's just not my priority. So
Well, that's really exciting that whatever is happening is happening.
sorry.
That's awesome. I mean, with so many cooking creators, the ones I talk to from time to time, they map out every little thing ahead of time, and it's just a crazy thing. But I love the idea that, you work under pressure, you do it right there, and I think the audience just feels that.
yeah, I think that's what people, I think, can relate to more. Obviously some of the ones that are more planned out are more crazier or more intricate, it's not as relatable because they're like, well, I can't do that, or that's too much work, But if I do something that's, quick and easier, and, I tell my viewers, I'm like, I don't spend more than 45 minutes at most. Like, I wish I did, but I don't, because first you want to make it fresh, and I have 3 kids, even if I spent an hour on one lunch, like that's 3 hours. You think I have that time? No. So, I try to keep everything short, simple, but obviously cute and nice, and still well thought out in some way.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I was a single person right now just cooking, doing content, yes, I could map out everything, make everything perfect. I am a perfectionist, but that's something you learn to let go as you get older too. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's fine. Especially short form content. People are watching for seconds at a time,
True.
So the only one that you're perfecting for is yourself, and you don't have to do that.
The assumptions that people have of you online in the comments is crazy. They somehow have connected some imaginary dots to think that you're this when you're not this at all. Obviously, when you put yourself out there, your face, your family, all the things that you do, there's a ton of judgment. How do you let that roll off? How do you just
Deal with it.
Yeah.
It's just like those people don't know me. Like I have friends since middle school that are like, finally, this is literally what you were made to do. This is finally people can see your skills. They can see your creativity. So like people who have been there my whole life, my friends, my family, they're just like, I'll post, a scandalous picture, maybe a bikini. And I'm like, my dad sees it. If I don't care if my dad sees it, then why am I going to care of all these people judging me for it or, whatever it is that I'm doing. So for me, like, I just know that, like, this is who I am. I'm not faking anything. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm old. Like, I don't know. It's just funny. I'm just like, I literally started from nothing. I got, I've gotten robbed. My whole house got robbed. I went through a terrible divorce. Like, I've been through the things. So it's like, it's fine. You can think that way, but it's not like that, and it is possible to do these things, and be a loving mother still, even though you've had a harder life or whatever it is. So, and once they get to know that, I feel like those people can connect with me in other ways, and they do, and those are the audience that stick around, I guess, and like me for who I am.
So cool. I mean, what a journey it's been. Yeah, I mean, multiple jobs, multiple lifetimes of different experiences that you've had. Makeup artist, you worked in day clubs for 8 years, business owner. I mean, it must blow your friends and family's minds, like what has happened.
I mean, they do, but they're just like, oh, finally, they're just like, finally, you're doing what you love. Because I've always I love working. Like, even though I literally worked 3 jobs at a time, all the time, because I liked it and I liked staying busy. I liked learning new things, and that was just kind of like my personality. So, yeah, I've had every job in Vegas. Like, I've worked at a plant store, like who installs every plant in like all the casinos. Like,
what?
It's crazy. And that is just like a small part,
Well, like the Conservatory Bellagio, that kind of stuff? Or?
They do all the artificial. So like the
wow.
bigger stuff inside casinos. Yeah. So like the florists go in there and do the other stuff, but all the artificial stuff. And I've worked at the place where they individually make the trees. There's someone who actually like makes it from scratch. And just even that is funny, like I did that. I worked in the cannabis industry. I was marketing director for that. I've done a lot of different things. But I think all those things kind of helped me figure out this career and this life now. Definitely doesn't hurt to have all these experiences and connections. Because, yeah, even like Melinda, I met her because I served her. And I've worked with her on Vegas 7 covers because I did makeup, so, yeah.
That's amazing. And yeah, absolutely. Life experiences, and a lot of the younger creators really haven't had that much of that. And it's been interesting for me when working with them, because they're a little less professional and they don't
understand, yeah, for sure. It's a little different. But I mean, that a new generation is different too. But they're smarter, they're
true.
smarter, they're quicker than us. Like, it's always been that way. And that's cool, because there are like 8, 9-year-olds, like my kids, she can do transitions on her own and do it way better than me. She'll yell at me if I'm like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, I can't do that one. And she'll be like, come on, Mom, it's so easy, So, yeah. But yeah, like the whole family and friend thing, they are surprised, but they're not in a way, they're just like, it's funny that people think this way of you and all these judgments, because everyone who knows me knows that this is what I've always been doing, regardless if I was filming or not. That's amazing. I was always filming anyway, because I do love just capturing memories.
So cool. We're going to go into some random questions because I didn't know how to fit into everything. What are your DMs like these days?
DMs, usually they're very heartfelt. A lot of my audience members are mostly women. So, they're just like, they're just always supportive. I don't get a lot of hate in my DMs or anything. It's a lot of love, a lot of random questions like, how do you cook this or that, or what do I do if my kids don't eat this or that, stuff like that. Kind of going through life with me, whatever I post, they're just like, I just posted about my dog getting hurt, and they're just like, oh my God, sorry. So yeah, mostly they're all good, nice, happy DMs, and then I do get some weird ones here and there.
Of course.
Yeah, I've gotten asked for workout socks, my workout socks.
Yeah, the foot thing.
Yeah, so
weird.
those will like come in randomly, but lucky for me, my audience is kind of where I'm at. Yeah. I usually say it's like 97% women and the rest are gays, and I love it that way.
Right.
I love it here.
With the millions that you've inspired on so many different levels, are there any stories from random people that have resonated with you as far as for like you kind of inspiring them or changing how they've approached life?
Yeah, I mean, I do get it all the time. I did get it more like my first year when I was super viral. I would get messages all the time like, I struggle with an eating disorder, and you've helped me eat better. Kids going through a lot of different special needs kids are very particular about like foods touching, different textures, stuff like that. And like just the way that I've showed how to make different kinds of lunches and different ways, I guess, they've told me, yeah, they've completely changed their diet, they're healthier, stuff like that, which is great to hear because I'm not here to teach nutrition, or diet or any in that way. If anything, I'm a comfort food kind of person. So, there's a lot more butter and bacon. And obviously I do healthy stuff too, but, it's good to hear that I do get a lot of healthy, dietitians, nutritionists messaging me and telling me that I'm their, like, source to give to parents, when they have their appointments. And, that makes me so happy and, feel like I am doing something good, So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
What an impact. That's so cool. A lot of people wanted me to ask you, what's your go-to Asian market in Vegas?
I always go to Greenland. It's the only Korean store here. So I'm kind of like indifferent because it's not the best, with the ingredients. But I heard H Mart's coming, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I'll still support Greenland. And then just my normal, like 168, the Asian stores, of course.
Do you ever do like a regular supermarket type stuff, or do you stick with Asian?
Yeah, I mean, I go to the market every day.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Every
and
day.
it's always like, Smith's, Albert. I go everywhere.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's, Costco, Whole Foods.
It must be a trip for people to recognize you in the supermarket.
The first time I got recognized was at Trader Joe's, one of
Really?
the girls there. Yeah, it was just awesome.
That's so cool. You campaigned for Catherine Cortez Masto during last year's election while hanging with the likes of Camilo Cabello and Kerry Washington. I love that you did that. The senator was actually a guest on the podcast as well. But politics can be divisive, especially in such a weird time in America. What did that mean to you to have to contribute to her victory?
Politics was just kind of what I grew up on. I just always felt like this need of justice, I guess. I don't know. Me and my friends would, go not campaign, but go to protests and like stuff like that in high school. And that was pretty big because back then it wasn't like social media, like, hey, we're doing this because we're showing people this is what we're doing. We just kind of did it because we, felt like it was right and what was right. One of my first government papers that I wrote on was legalizing gay marriage. And that was, I'm old, that was back in 2002 maybe. So, yeah, that's just kind of a part of who I am. I want to fight for what's right. And I felt like, Catherine was fighting for what's right and what's better for my girls' future. So, it wasn't one of those, like, I don't ever think about my things, which I should, because sometimes I probably will get myself in trouble. But I'm like, if I want to post something, I'm just going to post something. I never really am like, I'm going to probably lose followers or people are not going to like this or, I don't, because that's just who I am. And if I lose followers, then I'm sorry, obviously our morals don't match. And that's what matters in life, your morals, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just kind of do it. And I do lose followers. You know, I lose a lot of followers when I do post more politics, more personal stuff, you know, stuff like that. But that's just kind of who I am, and I'm just
You're
going to
staying
put it
true to
out
yourself,
there. Yeah.
so fuck them.
Yeah.
Right? While we're on politics, kinda, you were invited to the White House for Easter. What would you do if you could Airbnb the White House for a day? Any?
Probably throw a big party. You know, I don't know, run around naked. Probably do, I don't know. What would you do?
The kitchen staff can make whatever you want.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
probably maybe
awesome.
eat something in different rooms and ride the helicopter. I don't know.
Yeah, naked. I mean, that's what I would literally. I would just be naked, running around, playing hide and seek. Who knows?
Sounds awesome. Let's talk time management for a bit. I feel like I have no time yet. Here I see you, Mama 3, premier foodie, creator on the planet. I mean, I need some advice from you on how to keep it all together. What would you say for someone who says they don't have time, or how do you schedule that or sketch it out?
You just got to set your priorities. You know, what are your priorities? You know, my priorities are obviously my kids. So spending time with my kids is my priority, you know, regardless of what it is, even if it's like doing chores together, even if it's sucky stuff, you know. So I try to prioritize my family first now that, you know, like I lost my mom. So obviously that had a big, you know, it was a big deal. Like, oh, I wish I had more time with her. So I obviously want more time with my kids. They're not kids for very long. So that kind of, I don't know, you know, what's important to you? You know, like, is it making money? Then, you know, prioritize your work. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine. What's important to, you know, like, is working on your house, like gardening, hobbies, you know. I think that's just kind of what you need to figure out is what makes you happy and what you do with that, you know, happiness. You need to do what you want to do, but also what's important to you. So hopefully that's coincides. You know, I like making money, I like working, I like my kids. Lucky for me, I get to do all three. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like you just kind of have to be productive. That's the only thing. You have to be motivated, productive. Social media is a very self-motivated job. No one's there to bark orders at you, you know? Like, no one's here to be like, film, get it together. You need to get up, get ready, put some makeup on, you know? But I think, you know, like just getting up, getting ready for the day will definitely help with anything you do. Even as a mom, even if you work full-time, don't work full-time, if you get up, get ready, then you're more willing to do stuff. You know, if you like look like a mess, and I mean, not saying I get ready every day. I look like a mess all the time, but I'm more willing to film. I'm more willing to do stuff and go out and, you know,
I got you.
do stuff like that. So maybe that's a little tip.
So what's a daily schedule for you? Like, what time do you normally wake up on a weekday?
So I try to get up and wake up, make sure my daughter's awake. I don't know why I did this to myself, but I signed her up for an extra class. So she has to go to school by 7. Wow. And so she gets up pretty early, like 5:45 to 5:30, just because now she gets ready and all that. So I usually wake up and make sure she's up. And then she's actually been good at making her own lunches, which I feel terrible.
Oh, wow.
But she lets me sleep in, you know, sometimes when I'm working late or whatever. So she'll be like, it's fine, Mom, just sleep, you know, and she'll just do her own thing, which I'm very grateful for. And so then if I can sleep in, I'll just sleep in till like 7:30, and then I'll get the other girls ready and lunch ready, and then they go to school, and then I fill in usually with meetings, and then I have to do a bunch of household chores. Like I just literally did kind of like a little vlog for a brand, and that's literally what I do. You know, it's a lot of computer work, editing, voiceovering, whatever I need to do. And half the time I'm like struggling because all my equipment's like not working, or my phone storage is too much. I can't do stuff on it. So I feel like half my day is like being like the stuff that unplanned for, and then half of it is like productivity of like working on my project, meetings, filming, editing, all that stuff. And then in between all that, I'm doing laundry. I do laundry every single day. Every single day. It's nonstop. laundry, dishes every day. I have a bigger house. I just bought my house, so
Congrats.
that comes with a lot of weeds, and
Yep.
so
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw you picking weeds. I felt that too.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, I can hire someone, but then it's just right here. Let me just do it. Like it's just like that. Even though I could be doing other things, but yeah, so it's usually just half work, half housework, and then my kids are home by then. They want to eat. Half of my day is figuring out what I'm gonna cook for dinner, and they like second lunch because they get such a short lunch. So that, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless there's an event or I'm in LA doing an event or work, my life is pretty much like that.
What is beyond the phone? What other equipment do you use at home?
I try to just keep it on my phone just because I do travel a lot. And for me, I've tried to have all the things, but it doesn't keep me more productive. So cutting out all that stuff helps me be more productive anywhere, anytime. So pretty much my phone.
Yeah. Your favorite dessert of all time is?
My favorite dessert, that's a hard one. I'm such a sweets person.
Or maybe 3?
Mango, it's an Asian dessert, but it's basically mango crepes with whipped cream inside. They're like mango pockets. Those are so good. I don't know. Chocolate chip cookies, of course, classic with milk. And I also love the tres leches cake from Joe's, the stone crab.
I've never had that.
It's so good.
I always get the key lime.
Yeah.
Okay, next time I'm going to do that.
Tres leches cake.
Okay.
It's so yummy.
You've been featured on so many publications: LA Times, Pop Sugar, MASH, Food 52, Teen Vogue, People Magazine. Of all the incredible and well-deserved coverage, is there one feature that's meant the most to you personally?
I think the Los Angeles Times one was a really big and cool one because they reached out to me and was like, "Oh, I want to do a little blurb about you," and I was like, "Sweet," And so she's like, "I'm gonna send a photographer to your house. She'll take all the photos, and then I'll just write the story. I'll just get some questions from you and stuff." And it was so simple. It was during COVID, so she had the photographer come in.
This is Jen Harris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
And I haven't even got to meet her yet, actually,
wow.
which is crazy. I have to. But yeah, so she came. I took pictures on my floor. I was literally like laying on my floor. And then it came out. I didn't even see it because I'm not in LA. And my friend sends me a video, and it's literally like the whole thing and like a big old thing. And I was like, I did not expect it at all because I literally was thinking a tiny little column or, something. But then, yeah, I was like, I'm the centerfold of food. That's what
real?
Yeah. So that was awesome, and I think that kind of started the other publicity, because, Los Angeles Times, that's crazy. And I'm from LA originally, so that was another, cool thing to see.
How often are you traveling back and forth from Vegas and LA these days?
I feel like it's almost like every other 2 weeks, maybe. There's always something going on.
For sure.
Yeah.
My wife is the biggest rice connoisseur ever and is extremely picky about the types that she eats. As a rice lover yourself, is there a particular brand that you like? Japanese rice or?
I try to stick it to Korean rice,
Okay.
but I do. So that's actually one of my number one questions is how I make my rice.
Really?
And I have a rice mix video on my YouTube. But so I just mix a bunch of different. It's not really the brand that I like. It's kind of just I just buy whatever's cheaper available, and I just mix it in with better rice. That's small. So I get like a small case of really good rice, like mixed rice, whole grain, all the good stuff. And then I buy whatever, because rice is rice to me. And then, so I just kind of mixed that in. And then I started adding quinoa, which was because my youngest daughter, she's the pickiest. So whenever I can add in more proteins and stuff. And that was why I added quinoa. And
that's a great call.
Yeah.
I never thought about doing that, but that is a good call. Is there one tried and true recipe that everyone should have in their arsenal for rice, or just fried rice?
Fried rice, yeah. I mean, fried rice is so easy, you know. Like,
Yeah.
if you have leftovers, like with anything, rotisserie chicken. Obviously, I like kimchi and spam. So, you know, the cool thing is, like, I always have rice. I literally always have rice.
Same.
So for me, fried rice is an easy thing. Bacon, you know, ham, egg. It's literally like free for all. So
Right.
definitely easy one to do.
Cool. Say you and David have a date night. What are some of your favorite local restaurants or things to do around town?
We actually were supposed. He was like, "Oh, you want to go on a date this weekend?" And then, but I'm unavailable. Sorry, David.
Too busy.
Yeah, but yeah, we were trying to figure out what to do. I love trying new things in Vegas because there's always something cool and fun happening. I do have a date with Perez. We're gonna go check out Mark Wahlberg's new
Oh yeah,
restaurant.
Cathedral tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I'll be
I'm
there.
excited about that.
Nice.
And oh, you'll be there, yay!
Mm-hmm.
But local restaurants, I love. You know, the main ones, Lotus of Siam, because Penny's my girl. Like, she's been my friend for a long time. So it's amazing to see that family grow and succeed in this town. You know, it's awesome to see. I love Hobak. Hobak's been pretty much my go-to birthday spot.
Always fun.
Yeah. I don't know. Shang Artisan Noodle. We went there with Drex yesterday, of course. I feel like those are like so easy to say,
Right.
you know, like
Well, they're all good.
yeah, Tacos El Gordo, of course. But what is some new ones that Moonbury.
Oh, the one in Decatur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's been
I've
my
been there.
new Korean spot that I go to for like comfort food for me. And the lady who works in the mornings, she's so nice. So I love going to see her.
Very cool. Yeah, a lot of times when I ask Koreans where to eat Korean, they will usually just say nothing's good or it's better at home. And so thank you for giving me a straight answer on all that stuff.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry. I wish I
No, it's
I wish I had more to because
No,
people
no.
ask me that all the time, and I'm like, oh, I should just remember, but
Good
then
answer, yeah.
and I have so many that I love, but then like I just kind of go
Right.
blank. Yeah.
Right. People asked me where I ate yesterday. I don't even remember. So
Yeah.
you've had some amazing trips and experiences over the years, like cruises. You and David visited Super Nintendo World before the Hollywood before they opened. Hollywood red carpets. What are a couple of those events where you guys went? Like, how is this my life? I can't believe this is where you
Happening.
are.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that every time, I think, you know, like going on, especially like Disney. Like Disney was I'm such a Disney geek that like I went to Disney probably over 20 times as a kid because I lived in LA, you know, but didn't matter. I loved it so much, and I love all the Disney movies. I love sappy, corny. Obviously, if you see my content, like I love that stuff. I love the cheesy. So Disney was a huge thing that I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like the inaugural sailing of their new ship, like. You know, like if I say stuff out loud, I'm like, are you joking me? You know, like, and even before the sailing, we watched this, like I get goosebumps saying it, but they had a show and with the CEO of Disney, like everyone came and like they popped a bottle, you know, like it was just insane to see that stuff. And like, you know, I wouldn't have been able to if I don't do this. And yeah, I'm just like, especially if they pay me, like if like Royal Caribbean was one of the biggest brand deals that I've gotten. And they were like, yeah, we want you on a cruise. There's not going to be that many people because it was, you know, right after COVID, and we basically had the whole ship. And the cool thing is, like, other content creators were my friends, and I was like, oh my God, you know, like even more because we get to have fun together and we're both working. So, you know, like every event, every opportunity is so cool, you know, and I don't take it for granted. Definitely, you know, if you're not like relatable or, you know, out there, then this could just go away, you know? So it's like, for me, I'm like, wow. And like, you don't think it's going to happen when you're in your 30s either, you know? You're like, oh, my life is probably like done. Like my prime time's done. But for me, it's like, I'm a mom, you know? Like that's what it's cool. So parents out there that are like parent in their 30s, like thinking this is it. It's not it. So, yeah.
Amazing. The bougiest bento box you ever made was for Maxine with a Wagyu quail egg finished with tanghulu for dessert, and it made me want to cry. Could it ever get bougier than that? I mean, would you ever do would the kids even want foie gras or otoro or truffles?
I took them to New York for the first time last year, and we went to a Michelin-rated Indian restaurant, and they're not really into Indian food. Just, certain kinds because the spices are a little bit stronger. But, I was like, let's try it, my friends were friends with the chef, and I was like, I want to go try. So, obviously, I was, going into thinking, they probably won't like a lot of the stuff because it is more fancier. But they enjoyed it. They enjoy everything that is a part of food, too, kind of like I do, the presentation, just everything. So they appreciate it because they have traveled with me everywhere and gone with me to a lot of places. So yeah, even if they don't like it, they're just like, not for me, and they'll tell me why. And and that was a cool experience because he brought us back and got to make garlic naans. My girls got to try making those. And
cool.
Yeah, inside a
the Tinder
oven, which is amazing. And so I mean, it's just you never know what they're gonna like. Sometimes they surprise me. So that's just it, just expose them and you figure it out as you go. They're just like every other person. I have my preferences, you have your preferences.
Is there one ingredient you can't do or any food that you're not into?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Probably
Probably
not.
Yeah.
Durian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cilantro?
Yeah. If
Dang.
someone's
It's
serving
like the
up
soap. Is it like soap to you? Really?
shaved Irish Spring over food.
Yum. Perfect.
Right.
So I'll make you durian cilantro ice cream.
Phenomenal. Make it a cheesecake, and then that'll be the trifecta.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really. I can't figure it out. Maybe celery is one ingredient that I could probably live without.
Okay.
But I still like it in my potato salad. So.
That New York trip was the Times Square?
No, I couldn't bring them to the Times Square one. I really wanted to, but it was a different one. I went there and I was like, oh, I want my kids here. And that's how it is every time. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I need my alone time. I get to have fun with my friends, drink, do that stuff. But then I'm always like, oh, I wish my kids were here. So I brought them, and we have just as much fun. So
that's great. Can you share any details about perhaps a lucrative deal you turned down and for what reasons? Without getting into.
Yeah, I did. So my first year, I basically was like, I'm going to do every deal that comes to me, because I'm like, I got to provide for my family. I literally provide everything for my kids on my own. I get no help. And so the first year I was just like, okay, try to do as much, but obviously not, selling out completely. And, but then it got to me, I was obviously forcing myself to try to put in these brands with my content. I mean, it's easier for me because most of them I do use. But certain things, you just have to be more creative, because it is a commercial and you obviously want to bring good posts still, to your audience. You don't want that addy kind of stuff. So, the second year, I told myself, okay, you're only going to do the deals that are worth it to you, really, really worth it to you, because I was literally at my bandwidth. I was going through a lot emotionally. I had COVID really bad. It was a lot. So I was like, okay, don't pressure yourself this year as much because you have to know your worth, first of all, So there was a set rate that I was like, okay, if it's under this, or, whatever, unless it's a brand that I love, then don't even, why? Why are you going to put yourself through that? You're fine, So the second year, I kind of decided that I wasn't going to try to do everything that I could and just focus more on things that I wanted to do and bigger deals that were longer contracts and stuff like that, I guess. And it's been better because, you all obviously want to be happy. And if you are working with someone else, there are a lot more factors, with what they want, what they need. And stuff like that. So, I can't complain. Like, all these brand deals are pretty easy to work with, and they trust me, so I feel lucky.
It's interesting because, yeah, a lot of the corporate ones, I mean, they want like the whole concept for the post and everything.
Which is hard for me. Yeah.
It's hard for, I think,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I said, like I pull stuff out of my butt all day, you know, and like that's how I work. I don't even script my voiceovers. I do it right then and there. So for me, I'm just not as creative if I'm forced to be like, okay, you have to write this concept down and write down exactly what you're gonna say. And so that's kind of where the roadblock is for me, I think, because it does kind of cut my creativity a little bit. But it's fine, you know. That's the name of the game of filming. You know, people write everything down. They literally write every single thing down, and so I think I'm the odd one out where, you know, I don't do that. So,
But the spontaneity is great because, yeah, I used to write stuff down all the time, and after a while, it just seems too salesy.
yeah, it's too salesy, and yeah, it's too scripted.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, and you're like saying it differently because you're not just letting it flow.
Right.
So, not as, you know, authentic.
Now that you are where you are, is there any general advice you can impart to others on branding themselves? Perhaps maybe the social media handle. A lot of the foodies here are trying to get rid of their Las Vegas thing to reach a more national audience and things like that. Any other advice you could possibly give?
Yeah, I think just mainly is just connecting with people within your community helps. You know, I connected with a lot of foodies and food creators during Clubhouse COVID sessions, you know, and no one really thought that, you know, like, but for me, it was like a big group chat of like a party line back in the day, you know, three-way calling. It was kind of like that for me. And so I think that kind of helped me just go through this career. And, you know, I can lean on them where I'm like, I don't know anything about this, or like, what should I do? And they can do the same with me. And I think that helps because no one really understands what you're doing unless you're doing it, even if they're a part of it. I still don't think my kids understand what I do, you know? And so I think the biggest thing is just connecting with other people, you know? Not a lot of people do that. Like, they still kind of keep to themselves, and they're very, you know, like this, their work ethic is great, you know, like, this is what I do, this is what I produce and stuff. But then they don't have a community that they can, you know, relate to or talk to, and I don't know, you know, for me, social is a very big part of who I am. That's why I think I like working, because I got to meet so many different people, got to have so many different kinds of coworkers, and I'm still friends with most of them, you know, and so I think that part makes the job easier and more helpful.
Great advice. Lastly, what's coming up for you in the near future as far as sort of travel or appearances or goals?
I'm just working on that big project.
That big project.
Yeah,
Okay.
that big project. And then I just got a really cool email today. So hopefully that like turns into something. But I'm going to the Gold Gala. It's an API event this weekend. I'm super excited because I love being around API people. It's crazy because, like, growing up, I didn't really hang out with a lot of Asians in middle school or high school.
Me neither.
It was a lot of, because my high school was a lot of Mormons, and they had a lot of, and minorities. So, and I mean, there was a big group of Asians, but I don't know. I just didn't get close with them, I guess. Like, a certain few I did, but then now I feel like I'm so much more connected to, obviously, our people, you know, because we understand culture, we understand the inside jokes, heritage, everything that comes with being who we are. So just being around like such inspirational people in one room is pretty amazing. So I'm so excited to go see everyone and just kind of meet new people, you know?
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're busy, and to take time of your schedule to do this, I mean, I'm definitely very grateful.
Yeah, you got to represent for Vegas,
Yeah.
of course. I love Vegas. I've been here forever, and I love you. Your
Thank
videos
you.
are awesome.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Anything you want to plug it before we wrap it up?
Follow, like, and subscribe, comment. I don't know. Yeah.
Sully Jessica on all the channels for everything. I'm going to start, once I have a free day, I'm going to do one of these recipes that you have
Yeah,
on your
do
website.
it.
Tons of, the website's amazing. A lot of great recipes, a lot of great ideas, really inspirational stuff. And thanks for
Yeah,
being
of course. We should do a video together one day.
I'm a terrible cook, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we can go eat. We can
Yes.
do whatever.
I would
Literally,
love
I
that.
can
I would
do
love
whatever.
that. I
Yeah.
would love that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegas Phil podcast. For more information about me and where I've been dining recently, check out my IG and TikTok at Las Vegas Phil. Feel free to text or leave me a voicemail about anything you want, 702-551-4445. Stay tuned as a new episode of the show debuts every Monday morning.